안녕하십니까. 기회사 말을 한마디 하도록 하겠습니다. Good morning, everyone. I'm very much pleased to host this international conference entitled about issues, human rights issues of North Korea and possible solutions for this. This conference is actually co-hosted with the Hanns-Seidel Foundation. The director is Bernard Jelliger, doctor, and together with other civil society organizations such as People for Successful Korean Reunification, 성통만사, and Database Center for North Korean Human Rights, 북한 인권정보센터, North Korean Intellectual Solidarity, NKIS. So the core institutions are really many. And we'll touch upon these very sensitive issues. In fact, today, two special envoys arrived from both the United States and China to discuss about human rights issues with Korean officials. Therefore, conference today is quite meaningful. And throughout the conference, we will draw and yield quite meaningful and insightful results. And for this, I'm very happy. And on behalf of the Hood HRU Center, which is supported by the European Commission, we have also passed the Political Council of the delegation in Seoul, and from Ambassador Lee of the EU in Brussels, and many other distinguished guests and faculties and students, and many people working in civil society organizations. So again, I'm very much thanks to all of you, the participants, and we will draw very meaningful results throughout the one-day seminar. Thank you.
Morning. Distinguished guests, students of the Hankook University, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a pleasure for me to have the opportunity here to speak with you this morning. I have to begin by offering my heartfelt congratulations to the participating organizations, the Hanns-Seidel Foundation, Peace Corps, North Korea Database, and North Korea Intellectual Solidarity, and what you have achieved since 2012. I'm equally grateful to the various European civil society organizations that have made this project possible by transmitting the lessons of their experience in Europe and in Asia in promoting human rights and democracy. As you are all aware, the promotion of human rights is a core objective of the European Union, both at home and the rest of the world. The promotion of human rights is not just a part of foreign policy. Respect for human rights is at the core of the EU's foundation. The promotion of human rights is and must be a partnership between government and civil society. Civil society plays a decisive role in democratic transition in Europe. It continues to play an essential role in promoting and preserving human rights. That is why the EU was pleased to be associated with this initiative to link human rights defenders in Europe and Korea. The human rights situation in the DPRK has been a determining factor in the EU's approach to this country. As we began to engage with Pyongyang in the late 90s, the EU made clear that an expansion of relations would be dependent on progress not only on the nuclear issue, but also human rights and inter-Korean relations. Of course, the EU has always separated humanitarian assistance from political considerations. European humanitarian assistance organizations have worked in partnership with DPRK government partners since 1995 to promote economic and social rights amongst vulnerable communities. At the same time, the lack of substantive progress on civil and political rights, coupled with negative developments on the nuclear issue and inter-Korean relations, has been reflected in the EU's cautious approach towards expanding interaction with the DPRK. Nonetheless, the EU policy towards the DPRK is one of critical engagement. The door to dialogue is open. Our objective is to persuade the DPRK leadership that the country's future, the overall well-being of its people, can only be secured when it follows international norms and practices, when it guarantees the protection of human violence of human rights. Under our policy of critical engagement, political contact is maintained with DPRK authorities. We had a number of ad hoc visits. We had the visit of European parliamentarians, the delegation for relations with Korea, for the Korean Peninsula to Pyongyang in July. Political and diplomatic contacts are also used to urge the PRK government to take its full place in the international community and benefit from participation in the global economy by complying with international human rights norms. Guaranteeing the rule of law is not only a political and moral obligation, it is an essential part of economic development and participation in global trade. In May of this year, the EU supported the international consensus to establish a UN Commission of Inquiry. The EU believes that the resolutions are an important element of keeping the spotlight on the situation of the PRK. The UN resolution, the work of the Commission of Inquiry and of the special rapporteurs serves to maintain the international spotlight on the PRK. They send a message that the international community is watching and expects the PRK government to respect universal principles and human rights. The US does not see the resolution as an attack on the PRK system, but rather as a roadmap on how to move forward in improving the situation. The experience of promoting human rights and democratic transition in Europe that you have looked at during the course of this project have shown the critical importance civil society plays in bringing information about abuses, in caring for and rehabilitating victims, in maintaining pressure on governments to act, and in providing informed analysis of how to move forward. Just as the European partners played a vital role in democratic transitions in Europe, so the Korean participants here today are helping to keep the international spotlight on the PRK. The project represents the common values held by the EU and the Republic of Korea. I look forward to an interesting exchange of views as we look back at what has been learned and discussed and what comes next. Thank you so much for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to work as a moderator of the first session of this morning. The subject we are going to talk about is European experience of transition of democracy. I have the experience of working as the ambassador to the European Union for 3 years from 1996 to 1999. At that time, the number of the member countries of the European Union was only 15, but now expanded to 28. This morning, we have invited 3 panelists and a discussant. 2 of them are Europeans, one from Romania and one from Albania, and other 2 are Koreans. As you all know, Albania and Romania are member states of the European Union now, but they were the communist countries until late 1990s. We are very much interested to hearing their experiences of how serious their human rights situation was and how they could fulfill improvements of conditions through democratization of the regimes. Sharing experiences and information among Koreans and Europeans on the human rights issues will surely be helpful to the solution of the North Korean human rights issues. and contribute to strengthening mutual solidarity and friendship between the European and Korean people. Let me now introduce the speakers this morning. From my right-hand side, Dr. Hanns-Seidel-Stiftung, who is a teaching professor on political science at the National School on Political Studies and Public Administration in Bucharest, Romania. The next is Mr. Kesin Peskepia, working at the Institute for the Studies of Consequences of Communist Crimes in Albania. From on my left side, Professor Kim Bongchul, who is now Deputy Director of the EU Center at the Hyundai Economic Research Institute and a teaching professor at Hamburg University of Foreign Studies. And lastly, Ms. Cho Young-Chu from Samung School. The morning session must end by 12:15, and we have a little more than 1/2 hour. So please be reminded that the presentation should be less than 20 minutes for each panelist and discussant. At the end of the presentations, Q&A session will be followed for 15 or 20 minutes. Now let's start. Firstly, Dr. Karan